Speaker's Corner aboard the Villa Vie Odyssey, hosted by Kit Cassingham.
Welcome to Speaker's Corner. What a beginning. Out of curiosity, how many of you lived in conventional construction homes?
Probably all of them.
Randy, we didn't have a conventional home. And if you had...
I have lived in one though.
All right, well, I mean your last one. I asked because I tried to do my carbon footprint, but I'd already done all of the environmental things, so I didn't get anywhere with the particular tool I used. And I don't know if it would be a reasonable comparison to what the ship is doing anyway, but I thought it would be interesting. So this is Raul, he's our environmental officer.
Good evening.
And I'm going to make this up, Raul. You ran a carbon footprint tool against the ship. He's got lots of data, and he's going to educate as well.
Okay, I will. Okay, first of all, good evening. Thank you for having me here. I will just mention how it's actually done on board of the ship. It's a little different. It's not. Better? Oh. I will try. I cannot say that I will manage. I'm coming from a part of the world where we are talking a little faster. So I will try my best to speak slowly. So to start, this is actually how we are actually making a carbon footprint, which on board of the ship is called a little different. It's called CII, or carbon intensity indicator. It's more complex, let's say, like how you are doing offshore, because
The oldest thing.
yeah, it's depending of all more factors, and this is just a roughly one which we can do it on board. But the actual indicator, which is done by the classified society, it includes some more factors which we do not have it on board. They give us more for the type of fuel which we have. If it is a biofuel, you have an extra, let's say, measurement, something plus, to our CII. If you have coal ironing, which I will tell you later what means, So there are a little more other factors which is including in our CII factor. For the ship, needs to stay in the yellow part. I'm sorry, you cannot see that. It's ranked from A to E. The ship needs to stay on the sea to have a good rating. If it is going down, if you are for 1 year in E, you need to have a plan to improve your carbon footprint. If you are over sea, this means it's good. The new ships usually they go upper sea, but not necessarily, because how it's done actually. So it's the carbon footprint itself multiplied by miles sailed. So for us, when we are staying a lot of time in the harbor, this means our carbon footprint, our CII rating actually is dropping. This is the way it's actually done on the maritime industry. So, on average, for cruise ships, the big cruise ships, we have around 421 kilograms of CO2 per person per day, which is quite a lot. It's on a weekly basis, it's almost 3,000 kilograms. So this is roughly 154 tons per year, which is much higher from everything that's ashore, which is an average of 76 times more than the food carbon which you have it on shore. One means this, roughly to say like that, in your normal vacation on the land, it's 8 times more which you spend it here on board. It's how we put here, half of the drive, with a USP car, making across the United States. And this one, it's only for one person, so you should multiply by roughly 500 persons which you are on board of the ship. What we can do, because we are here, and you asked me to come here and to say what we can do, all of us together. So, starting with the HVAC system, correct, with the air conditioning. They made a study and they said, the normal temperature should be around 20 or 22 degrees, and this is in the economic side. So using less fuel, using less freon, and having the comfortable stay inside your cabins. And regarding the CI, the HVAC system, which means the air conditioner, it's very important to always, of course, to say if your system is broken, so our engineers, they can fix it. Another part of the making economy is, of course, the water consumption. It is done, roughly study, a 10-minute shower is making a lot of economy. The usage is around 8 to 12 liters per minute, so it makes a lot of sense. Our water is done by desalination and heating, so it's using again, for the water we are using the same fuel. For something small like brushing the teeth, you can use over 8 liters. So making an economy there when just turning off the tap water when you are brushing your teeth, it makes sense for us and you make a lot of economy. Waste, because we were talking before about the waste and what we can do on board. Unfortunately, from your part, you cannot segregate there, but we are segregating down. So it makes sense for us to do it there. It's not so easy for you to do it, but for special waste, to say like that, for things which are more dangerous, these ones should be segregated separate and given to the housekeeping. And you have sharp subjects, we have a container separate, and I believe with the medical it's already dealing with that. And you have others like razors or batteries, all other things, we have designated points, and the housekeeping can pick it up and deal with that. Any kind of broken units you have on board, it is a lot, makes a lot of importance for us to deal it in time, and then we can fix it and try to minimize all the waste and which we can do from that. What we are doing, we are trying to do a lot of things, but we are doing, let's say, first of all, reducing the speed, have less speed, sometimes is making a lot of economy. But it's same like in the car, it doesn't mean, you go much less, you have economy. It is an economy speed, which we try to do it there, On that speed, we make a lot of economy. The engineers, the engineering part, this means upgrading the systems and keep them at work. That's why any kind of breakage, everything you have there, and it's important for us to know, so we can deal it in time and we not make any kind of waste. From the shore, from the operations, we are trying to make, fuel management. Fuel management means having fuel done in a proper way. If you have the opportunity to have biofuel, and with biofuel, it's important, to have the all week to week, we are calling. So this means, the way it's produced and the way it's achieved and it's reaching to our ship. And let's say for us, the best month until on the last 6 months, it was the October, which we have a very good CII rating. We make almost 47 decrease in our footprint copper. So it was made as a small study, and they were saying that our behavior in a day-to-day choice, things which we talked before, it makes up to 3 to 6% saving. From operational, there are things which we can do, us, like upgrade and the other things, it's between 14 and 24% optimizing. From technology, which it is involving, and a lot of companies, I will tell you that they are making a big difference between 24 and 51%. Fuel, the new type of fuel, which some of the ships around the world, they are trying to use, they make another 4 to 8%. So totally will be around 40%. The target is that until 2050 to reach zero, which is the target of IMO. Some of the companies, they'll give just small example like Viking Libra. They managed to make a ship, this year it's started constructing it, which is built on hydrogen. They are the first ships, and we'll see in the future if it is viable or not. Part of you, because we are here together, you might call yourself, again, a seafarer, like all of us. All the people living on board are living at sea. They are called seafarers. So you are now part of seafarer. Congratulations for that. So what we try to do a lot of things, So all these things, small, like reducing the water waste, we call it, the food waste, the water waste, the heating. All these things makes a lot of difference in the long term. Let's say October, how I told you, it is possible, because in October we saw a lot of difference between the other months. It doesn't help, let's say, for the month of November, because we stayed too much time, inside the port, so our rating increased. But this doesn't mean, we didn't make a difference. But for the CII rating dropped because we were alongside a long time. But overall, I can tell that, we had a really good increase in our carbon footprint. So whatever you did good, and congratulations for that. Now we are talking about some new fuel, to say like that. The LNG, which is well known in the maritime industry, because a lot of ships, they are, and companies, they are starting to use LNG for propulsion. The good thing it is, how you will see there, we have using LNG almost 30% of CO2 reduction, and the massive, on the SO2 and NO2 plus the particle matter. But the new studies, they show, that methane, it cannot be burned entirely. So even if 1.5 or 1.7, percentage unburned of methane, it makes much more damage to the atmosphere that the carbon does. So in the future we will see if it is viable or not using LNG. Other systems, to make increasing in our CII rating, it's air lubrication, which is a system using for the ship, to make a pellicle of air around the keel, and it's reducing the resistance of the water. HVAC and lighting, these are systems, to optimize the use of air conditioning and lighting. Other types of energy devices and hybrid batteries to use for, of course, the energy reduction. Cold ironing. What means this? In some ports around the world, not too many unfortunately, but they are increasingly around the world, we have the opportunity to plug in. Basically, we stop the engines and we plug to the shore connection. In Asia, it's viable only in Chinese ports, and from my experience, it works. From 5 ports we did only 2, but at least they are there. In Australia, it will be possible in Sydney, but it's not yet available. In Europe, there are a lot of ports which they start to be available for the cruise ships, and in the United States, in California basically, and in Alaska, but they are very small capacity, so only small ships they can connect to the island. That will help in the future. The waste revolution, we say. There are some systems, and I was part of implementing in another company for the food waste. Food waste, we can actually manage to process everything from the food waste. We can make it in the sewage. We can make it to just discharge it overboard and will be like clear water. We can dehydrate it and after we can burn it. So we have the units and the technology at this part, to process almost everything from the food waste. So in this race, I would say we are not alone. All the companies, they are trying to improve and to invest in these technologies. The Royal Caribbean is the first, let's say, zero net ship planned for 2035. When we'll be on the sea, we'll see if it is viable or not, if it's true or not. Norwegian Cruise Line, they are more in the biofuel. They invest a lot of money in this biofuel. MSC, they tried a lot of projects in the marine protection and research. And like an industry, CLIA, which is the organization for the cruise ships, they try to eliminate by 2030 all the non-single plastic. This means like straws on the paper, on the say plastic cups and all these things. It will be eliminated. Like deadline is 2030. And that's it. You are the heroes actually here. So now that we finished, if you have any kind of questions, basically for what I was talking about. Please.
Is there any carbon capture? They're doing the carbon capture at the stores.
Yes.
So is there any ships that are playing around with that idea?
For cruise ships, for the moment doesn't exist this capacity. They try to do it for the cargo ships, but they are just a very small ones which we can do this one. I mean, the capacity is very hard to do it. It needs big containers, and then you need some shore facility to where to discharge this. So it is viable, but just in very remote places and for some ships.
What is biofuel? How does that differ?
Biofuel is not made from normal fuel, to say, the one which you extract. It's made from algae or from other process.
What's the ship's kilowatt per, how much does it take to run the ship in kilowatts? How much do we consume electrically? How many kilowatts are we needing to run the ship?
It's not a fixed one because it depends.
What's the highest it is? What size generators do we have for electric power?
A generator is 2,000 something kilowatts.
2,000 kilowatts?
Yes.
Okay.
And we are
So-
using usually minimum 2.
So our peak load would be 200 kilowatts.
Probably more. It's different. This is they measured out in the engine. I cannot tell you exactly, but I believe it's much more.
I only asked because I had an opportunity to build a very large building, a bed and breakfast that we did. I was able to go from a 400 amp power circuit for the house down to a 200 amp circuit just by reducing the electrical load of the light fixtures.
Yeah.
Many of the light fixtures we have on this ship are halogen. A lot of them are fluorescent, very inefficient. Has there ever been a calculation retrofitting to LED type lighting, how much power could be saved here?
I don't think it's a calculation, but the company has actually a procedure for that. Everything, every time they will change, they need to be changed with the new one with LED. So we have actually a procedure. Columbia has a procedure for this. So yes.
You mentioned that air conditioning is a big load on the system.
Yes.
On this ship, my understanding is that the air conditioning is driven by a central system
Yes.
and it blows air into the cabins.
Correct.
At home, if my room gets too cold, the air conditioning shuts off. On the ship,
No.
if it's too cold, we turn on a heater. So how can that be efficient and how can we make it better?
We do not turn the heater, but we have heating system down. All the engines when we are using, we are actually produce a lot of heat. So that heat we are using for warming up, to say like that.
Now, the new section of the ship,
Yes,
in the middle,
yes,
has electric heaters.
yeah,
The old section has dual vent,
yeah.
but in the new section, we have heaters. So if I turn my thermostat warmer, I don't change the air conditioning load at all. I add heat to the air, which is not an efficient system. So telling us to turn the temperature higher is not saving energy.
Depending on where you are in the ship.
Probably it's just there. Our ship is designed a little different from the normal ones. We have, unfortunately, new system together with old systems, and it's a little messy and mixed. But like a general rule, this is what we can do to increase one. For the air conditioner, probably much more important is actually to keep all the doors closed. This is much more important because, especially in these areas where we have a lot of humidity and the air coming inside. And that's the biggest part, for the HVAC system.
I want to take off of Paul's question a little bit. It is how much, if we turn our lights off in the business center, in our cabins, on the outside decks, will that save energy?
Of course.
Can you repeat that? We couldn't hear that. Hear anything. Repeat the question.
We're just asking, if you are switching off, correct, all the lights, all the lights, as many as we can, if we can actually make an economy, correct?
Correct.
So, yes, we do. It was done in a small study in a cargo ship, and our one chief engineer calculate if he's switching off all the non-essential lights on board, he will make an economy of 4 tons per year. Doesn't look so much, but this is for a small ship, and he make an economy for 4 tons. So overall, we can make, of course, it's making a difference. I don't know exactly how much, but it does.
Okay, good.
I actually have a little bit of input on that because I've asked the chief engineer. He says that of the consumption of the fuel on the ship, about half of it is used for propulsion and about half for generating electricity for all the different processes on the ship. So yeah, a lot. If we reduce electricity usage, we will save significantly.
Yes.
Thanks, Raul.
Is there an optimal speed for the ship to travel in terms of saving fuel?
It is, yes.
Can you tell us what the optimal speed would be?
And repeat the question.
The optimal speed, normally it's around 7 to 8 knots, I believe, but depends of other things. Yes, normally it's 7 to 8 knots because then we can use only one generator, so then this is the optimum speed. But of course, the speed of the ship is not only regarding that. If you have current, you have wind, this influence a lot. So it's not exactly 7. Can be, with the same load which you put on the engine, to have 10 or to have just 4. So it's not a precise. It's not like a car. I cannot tell you exactly 7. This means is the optimum, but it's about the load, and the load, let's say, in perfect condition should be around 8 knots.
So on rough seas like this, we're burning more fuel.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, because you need more power in order to generate, so then you will burn a little more. Yes.
And when we are dodging typhoons, we are increasing our speed as well, and that
Yes, but
it's safer for the passengers, but it's bad for the carbon footprint.
yes, you can say it's bad for the but so when we are running from the typhoon, we did increase the speed, of course. But our first, let's say, first thing we are trying to do is keep everybody safe. It's not about economy. So then everything is bypassed, to say like that, when it's about lives. So then everything is possible if we need to save anybody's lives. it is a project, and it is so for the potable water for the pipelines. I mean, it is a project, but this takes time, and it is in the dry dock projects there to be changed everything. Yes.
I know it's an older ship, and there's only so many things we really can do. It's not like we can switch to LP all of a sudden and so forth. But kind of getting back to what Kit was saying, who on the ship determines what lights are left on? There's so many times overnight I go to rooms like this or the Neptune Lounge, and all the lights are on, and they could be shut off, and it seems like there is some directive given to the crew that they're supposed to turn a lot of lights on, and the lights just seem to stay on all day and all night when nobody's in there. Is that something that you recommend, or is that something the hotel manager directs?
No.
I don't know why it's that way.
So we have some lights which are mandatory to keep them open, and this is on the IMO regulation. So these are for the life-saving appliances. Some lights needs to be open all the time for emergency case. Those you cannot even switch off. And this is part of the International Maritime Organization rules for life-saving.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the safety lights. I'm talking about all the lights in the Neptune being on all the time, all night. And if you go by the windows, it's just bright as if there were a whole room full of people there. And it could be 2 in the morning that they'll be on.
Yeah, they must have stations. That's stations, that must have stations.
Well, no, even though but the lights don't have to be this bright. He's talking about emergency lighting that can't be turned off.
Yes.
But there's a lot of lighting in these rooms that can be turned off. And I'm just wondering why we don't turn them on.
This room will be like this all night.
A lot of time, and the Neptune even
Yes.
more so.
Why?
It doesn't have to be this bright. No, you just need the emergency light. Well, let's
Yes.
have you answer. You answer what you're the expert.
They do not come from me, this is for sure. It would be my decision, for sure it will be switch off.
Yeah.
Maybe it's from different reasons, I cannot say. Maybe it's from hotel director, but I cannot tell you for sure.
Be interesting to know.
Yeah.
I might have missed the detail on how you explained October was a better month.
From my calculation, for the, let's say,
Repeat the question.
fuel. So October, it was our best month, in carbon footprint. How I determine that? By I'm collecting all the data coming from the engine and from deck, and this was by calculation our best month. We have less consumption of fuel, and we had longer time at sea.
Any reason, detail why? Because less lights were on, or?
I don't think it's about the lights itself. First of all, we had a long time at sea, so usually it's improving our coefficient, because this is how the IMO is calculating. Longer time you stay on sea, better your rating it is. And we had good weather probably, so this means we didn't need to use so much load on the engines. There are a few factors. The weather wasn't better for us, so we didn't use too much. Our system didn't break so much, so this means another type of waste. They were accumulating more factors which reached to that conclusion. Yes.
How is our food waste these days? Are you seeing that come down through the year?
No, our food is, yes, actually, if I'm looking, the food waste come a little better, but we do not have actually the system here to actually calculate that. We do not have the system which we process the food waste like other ships. We have a simple system.
Does food waste count in our carbon footprint calculation?
No.
Should it?
In my opinion, yes, but as per IMO, this is not part of the calculation.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Yes.
I have a lot of questions. I'm sorry. We've been told that a lot of times the ocean water temperature plays into the efficiency of the cooling system. Can you explain how that happens? I don't fully understand. I imagine it has to do with cooling the condenser coils, but maybe you could explain a little bit more about that.
More details probably the chief engineer can tell you,
Yeah,
but
maybe
simply
so.
put, we use the seawater for cooling the main engines. So higher it is the temperature, then of course it needs it's more complicated to actually cool this.
I see. Okay.
The theory behind that I do not I don't know to tell you exactly how does it work, but I know it's kind of like that. I know in some places it's becoming very hard for them to maintain the engines itself to work.
So it could be our efficiency improved in October because we were traveling in less hot ocean water temperatures. Could that even be part of it?
Not really, no. Because we're still hot water there. Not that much, no. No. better was in Alaska. There I can. If it was a difference like that, I could see, but no.
Thank you. Very well.
You have a question over there.
Ah, sorry.
Is there a potential we can compost our food waste?
No.
No.
For composing, no, we need a special unit, and we do not have that. And to make, we do not have. There are some ships, it was a project in AIDA to make this compost and for use it. But we do not have that. And takes a lot of money. Usually, big corporations they can do to invest in units like that.
And electricity also.
Yes, of course.
All right, are you guys all questioned out?
Can't hear you.
I'd like to add, John's asked a question that I was going to ask, but
Yes.
he answered it, and I'm still not clear on what it was all about. Air conditioning is very important to me in the sense that I don't want it. So, is it true, John, that we actually have the same, if we put it up, say, to 24 degrees, are we actually saying that actually costs more because heating clicks in and overrides the cooling that already costs energy to accomplish?
It might be possible maybe in the new system, in the new section, but that is not the case in the old sections.
I'm simply asking this because go to all the luxury hotels of the world, which I do, go on all these ships that I do, that people insist on having air conditioning at 18, 19 degrees, and then sleep in a doona or duvet to keep warm. I find it so much easier not to use that electricity. But if it's going to cost me more to heat down the cooling system, there is something wrong. There's a fox in the chook house.
Yes. It might be possible, yes.
Even in the old section, so much of the time it would be great if we could just turn the system off. But we can't just turn it off. It's got to be blowing in either cool air or warm air. Unless
Yes.
you're really freezing or cold, and then it feels like it's not blowing anything. But most of the time, it's got to be blowing something, and it would be great if we could just turn it off.
Now, I was told by one guy that came to look at our cooling, and we're in the older section, we're up front, that the thermostat actually controlled a damper
That's
in
right.
the system.
In the old section,
Is that?
you have both hot and cold air,
Oh, and
and the
it
dampers
shifts the damper.
switch between hot and cold air.
Ah.
But you do not reduce the air conditioning system's
No.
delivery.
Yeah, that makes
We
sense.
just want to
Yeah.
turn it off.
It just
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah.
It's just boom.
Okay. That makes sense.
It's an older system, or what can I say? The newer system, they are a little more intelligent. That's why in the new ships, new ships, they have a different system now,
And
which
don't
is more
forget,
automated.
We lost the entire air conditioning temperature control computer system, which would have perhaps been able to back off on the amount of air conditioning we produce. But right now, it just runs air conditioning. That's it.
I don't think it'll do anything.
This is retrofits. Retrofits is a little different story. I can just tell you about the technology itself. If it will be or not implemented, this is a different story. Yes.
And we have another at least 14 years on this ship.
This is a different question. It's out of my
But ask a question. Give us something helpful to work with there. Are you saying we're going to keep wasting? What do you mean by that? What are you saying?
I don't know how unlimited the funds are that are available to VVR, but if they're putting funds into newer ships and putting funds into keeping this one going, they're pouring money where it's not being efficiently used.
That's not his area.
Maybe that's something that should be considered for dry dock.
And this isn't an environmental officer conversation.
That's true.
He also doesn't do our cooking.
He's not in charge of
He should,
budgeting.
but, yeah, he's not in charge of budgeting, so.
My budget is none, so I have a budget of talking a lot, but that's all I can do.
So the conversation that was going on up here was that Raul has no control over budgeting of what things get repaired, how the engineering works, what the thermostats do, and I even said he doesn't do the cooking. So
No, but we are waiting for Marco. I know he's good at
he says Marco's going to be a good cook, huh?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. Any more questions? Okay.
What happens with all our cardboard and plastics and bottles? Is it compacted up?
Yes.
Okay.
The cardboard, we actually use the incinerator, but for the plastic, we are compact it and give it a short separate.
Is that true of cans and bottles too?
Of course.
Okay. Glass bottles, I mean.
Glass we do not compact, we just crush.
Okay. Well, that's a form of compaction. We just did it at the gift shop today, you know.
I saw.
Yeah.
It will come down.
So there's those metal plastic compacted box containers or whatever. Are they shipped it off? Do we get a deposit back on what's...
Not really. If from the shore they do not have the capacity to actually recycle, no. So yes.
You mentioned being able to plug in at a port.
Yes.
Will Odyssey ever be able to plug in?
If we will have a system, yes.
Well, we don't have it now.
No.
We have a system for emergency purposes only, but not for powering the whole ship.
No. Yes, that system is different. It's only for the dry dock. It's not for water. This is a different system. That one is using only for emergency and it's using less power. The one which you are talking is actually for using the whole hotel infrastructure. It's
big connectors.
Yes. Actually, there are a few.
Have you answered everything you think? All right.
Anyway, if you have any more questions, I am around the ship.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very informative. So we have been reconfirmed that we as the residents can save resources by turning off lights you're not using, by turning water off that you're not using. And so, when you're brushing your teeth, you don't have to turn the water on and brush your teeth with the water running. Turn it off. And you could try turning the water in your shower off in the middle. You get wet, turn the water off, foam up, turn the water on. Jim's saying no. I see. I go, yeah. Anyway. So, there is value in not wasting, and that's what Raul is trying to get the ship to do more of, and the residents. So, there we have it. Thank you very much, Raul.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.